Teacher Joe, what time is it? It's time to learn science. Come on, let's explore new things. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Kids, let's talk about float and sink. Float, sink. Look at this kid. This kid is swimming. When he is swimming, he can float. Float. Floating means you can stay above the water. Sinking means you go down the bottom of the water. Float, sink. Float, sink. This big ball right here at the top of the water is floating. Float. The small ball, when dropped, sunk at the bottom. Sink. Sink. Float, sink. The big ball is floating. Float. The small ball is sinking. Sink. The one at the top is floating. The one at the bottom is sinking. Here, an example. The ice at the top, staying at the top of the water, is floating. Float. Float. F-L-O-A-T. Float. Float. This ball is floating. It's at the top of the water. Up. This bottle is floating. Float. It's at the top of the water. Up. This balloon is floating. It's at the top of the water. Float. Up. This paper clip is floating. It's staying at the top of the water. Float. Up. This shuttlecock is floating as well. It's at the top of the water. Float. Up. Everybody say float. Say it again. Float. Meanwhile, objects which remains at the bottom of the water is sinking. Sink. Sink. S-I-N-K. Sink. This egg right here is sinking at the bottom of the water. Sink. Here are other things that are example of sinking objects. Stone, coin, a glass, a marble, and a metal. Now let's count how many objects are floating. Let's count. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Now, how many objects are sinking? Sink. 1, 2. Very good, kids. You counted with Teacher Joe. Now, answer page 22 of your science book.
Wow! Bravo! You finished the lesson for today. Kids, see you next science class. This is Teacher Joe signing off. Bye-bye!